Hey everybody, my name is Taylor Glenn and this is my channel Taylor Tries, where I try new things and I try to teach you new things. And today I'm going to teach you how to do a classic juggling trick called the shower. Before we jump into it, I want to take a second to thank all the members of my Otter Club over on Patreon. It is because of people like you that I'm able to make these tutorials free for everyone else, so thank you so much, I really appreciate it. If you want to be a member of the Otter Club, you can do that now. It's only $2 a month. You get access to a lot of exclusive stuff, including an extended version of this tutorial where I teach an advanced version of the shower called the high-low shower. You can get immediate access to that right now. There's a link in the description. Go show some support and let's learn the trick. So even though the shower is a classic juggling trick, it is a pretty difficult one. So before you jump into learning this one, I recommend that you check out some of those more easy beginner tricks that I've already done tutorials on. There are links in the description. If you haven't checked those out, go do that. If you are ready to learn this trick, let's learn it. The shower is a really basic trick to understand. Basically what's happening is you're throwing the balls up in a circular pattern. It's worth noting that there are two versions of the shower. The difference is subtle, but it is there. Basically, there is a synchronous version where both the right and the left hand are throwing at the exact same time, and an async version where they're just barely syncopated a little bit. It doesn't really matter which one you learn, the learning process is going to be the same, so I'm going to just teach you the way that I do it, which is the synchronous version, and then you can adjust it to make it sync or async, whichever feels best for you. The other reason I recommend learning it in the sync version is because it makes it easier to learn things like the box later on. So if you can learn it sync, do that. That's my advice. I don't know. What do I know? Okay, let's do it. So I want you to take one juggling ball and separate your hands a bit. From here, I want you to practice this throw across. This is a side swap one. When you throw this ball across, I want you to practice keeping your arms shoulder width apart. What tends to happen when people learn the shower is that we want to either hand the ball across, which we don't want to do, or we want to do a really tiny toss, which we also don't want to do. So separate your hands and practice that throw. It's really going to be using a lot of wrist. You're going to be pushing off the ball to really slam it into the other hand. You also want to avoid turning this hand that's catching and doing like a sort of claw catch. People do that when they're doing a shower. It's a bad habit. Let's just really keep our hands horizontal, throwing across. I know it feels silly just practicing one ball, but this is really important. Once you feel good with that one throw, pick up another ball. So the shower pattern is a circle, which means it can go either direction. So take a second and figure out which direction feels best for you. Usually, if you're right-handed, you'll be throwing the ball up with your right hand, which means you'll be doing a counterclockwise pattern if you're looking at it. If you're left-handed, you'll be throwing up with your left hand, which is a clockwise pattern from your point of view. Once you've figured out which direction feels more comfortable, let's throw these balls. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw this ball up in an outward arc. And as we do that, we're gonna throw the same one ball across, just like we did with one ball. Do not hand across like this. Don't make it really small. Don't tilt it down. And don't claw catch it, because that's so hard. I don't know how people do that, but they do it all the time. All right, that's pretty basic, right? So the next variation I want you to do is with two balls again. We're gonna start by throwing that one up, and then when it comes down, I want you to throw that ball across. You wanna try to time this out so that when you're catching the ball coming down, you're also catching that ball that you threw across. Boom, same time, listen to it. Once you've mastered that, and I mean mastered it, really get this solid, then we can move to the third ball. All right, from here we're gonna do the same exercise that we just did, that last one, where we threw the ball up and we threw it across. But this time, as you're throwing that ball across, you're gonna have a ball in that hand. So you're gonna throw it up again. Just try doing those first two throws. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now when you do this, really pay attention to those things I talked about. Keep your hands apart, keep them level, no lifting either way, and make sure you're not claw catching it. Once you can do those first two throws, try adding a third one. 1, 2, 3, catch. 1, 2, 3, catch. 1, 2, 3, catch. then add a 4th row and a 5th row, and then you can do the trick forever and you're awesome. All right, let's cover some troubleshooting because I know this is a hard trick and I know there's gonna be some issues that you're having. I already covered most of them, so I'm just gonna reiterate them now. The first mistake that I see people do is that they lift this ball up and slam it down. Now, that's not technically wrong. I just think that it doesn't look as good, and I think it's actually harder to do and sustain the pattern for a longer time. Bring that hand down, make them level, and get used to throwing that one straight across rather than arcing it down. The other habit that I see people get into a lot is they tend to claw and kind of shrug up with their shoulders a lot when they're trying to learn this trick. Now, the only way to get out of that is to practice with one ball again and really get that one across. This one across should really feel almost like you're catapulting it. Again, use your wrist and push it across with momentum. Get comfortable catching that ball coming in so that you're not having to toss it up and claw it down on it. You want it to be a solid one across. The other habit I see a lot is people get their hands too close together and they end up creating this very up and down shower that looks kind of sad in my opinion. Usually when you're doing that, it's because you're not as comfortable with that slam across that we've been working on this whole time, and you're also probably trying to go too fast. This is actually a pretty slow trick. You really want to wait for that ball to come down before you throw the ball across. So take your time. Take your time. Note that this is a pretty hard trick and it does take time to learn. Also note that learning it the other direction, in my opinion, is really, really hard. You can do that, but it is hard. Like, it is significantly harder to learn it the other way. I'm still not really solid, like fully solid on the other side. This way feels super comfortable to me. Doing it in my left hand, I can do it, but I have to concentrate. So just keep that in mind. Like, it is normal to not be able to do it both ways. It is normal to have one side that feels much better than the other. All right, that's all the advice I have on the shower. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing that and take a look at all the other tutorials and videos that I have on my channel. If you want to go the extra mile, you can become a member of my Otter Club over on Patreon, and you get access to that extended version of this tutorial where I cover the high-low shower, which is a more advanced version of this one, and it's super fun. So it's only $2 a month. You can go get that right now and show some support. Take your time with the trick, have fun, most importantly, and good luck. I feel like this would just be a little better if I were just moved slightly, wouldn't it? Wish the wind would stop. It makes it a little chilly. Also makes my hair go whoosh, which maybe is a good thing. I mean, it might look good, I don't know.